what you have going on today. This month, we're talking about the brain. We're talking about the brain all month long. So you're going to want to tune in, maybe tag a friend, grab some supplements, your favorite herbal supplements, and sit back and enjoy the show. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in Leak City here in studio. Dr. Chapa, I see you got all of your stuff ready, and it's in order. You're popping pills right now, herbal supplements to make sure that your body is working strong and your brain is strong, right?
That's right, man. And every day it's a new fresh day of routines and habits, and the routines and habits that you have in store for your day-to-day ultimately have brought you to the place that you are. And so hopefully you are happy with those spaces. Hopefully you like the journey that you're on, that you're moving onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. I know I am. Every day I get a little closer to the Lord. Every day I'm constantly being challenged. Every day I'm pushing, into that growth space, hopefully more than I'm in my protective stress space. And that's one of the challenges that, many people, especially in this new world that we live in, they're finding themselves in this protective stress state. There's two different places that your body functions, and it's either dealing with the stresses of life, or it's growing and being stimulated to new heights and new levels. And depending on which phase you're in determines the speed for which you age. So everybody wants to turn on the longevity genes, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, this weekend I got the good fortune of spending some time with a couple brilliant doctors. One from Nebraska, one from California, in Austin, and it was just absolutely amazing to listen to, one of the guys. He's just a research hound, and man, he's got just pounds and pounds and pounds of data that he scours and works with to bring new levels of teaching to the doctors that are looking for science, that are looking for has science caught up to what we have always known can be accomplished through health, wellness, and what I like to call transformational medicine. We kind of ended on that topic last week. So welcome to KHEA. This is Living Well with Dr. Chapa and Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We've been in the League City area for quite some time now, and if you have any questions, we'd love to be your health and wellness resource for all alternative measures. We give people alternatives to drugs and surgery. We teach people how to live well, be well, and stay well, one bite at a time.
Dr. Chapa, this month we are talking about the brain. Last month we were able to talk about what is it called? The thyroid gland.
Yep, thyroid gland.
I wanted to call it the gland. I was like, which gland is it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of glands.
So this one we're talking about the brain, and I believe it's attention disorders. So that word is thrown around so much now that I honestly don't know, I guess, what it means. Why does it happen? And is there a fix for it?
Yeah, there's no question. And one of the things that every person going through it's like that word is being just thrown around and people don't really know what it means. Okay.
Right.
Attention deficit disorder, and now there's a new one, oppositional defiance, syndrome, or disorder. I mean, there's all kinds of different, names for your brain chemistry being off. That basically means if you've got, symptoms where you find yourself reading pages on words on a page, pages on a word, and that was an example of ADD and ADHD. That's how that works. So my supplements haven't apparently kicked in just yet. But what happens is when you read words on a page and they cross and you don't see they don't seem to make sense. You can't quite formulate them in an integrative perspective that applies to what you're trying to learn and study. Some people will call that attention deficit, but that might legitimately be a neurochemical glitch. That could be something that we can fix, and that could be something that is simple as a change in diet. And diet makes a absolute positive, massive shift on how your brain integrates and learns new information. So if you struggle with, mental clarity challenges, brain fog, if you have challenges where you have brain fatigue, especially in the mid-afternoon, you can't get quite past 2 o'clock and you start crashing. And you're like, man, I got to make it to 5. Or you struggle with names and numbers and words, and you're just kind of like, man, why is it like walking through sludge in my mind to get through the day? And that's like that more often than a day. Like if you had a bad night of sleep last night, for example, you might be a little bit off kilter that next day, right? But if this is something that is like routine, it's happening every day, you can't remember things that you know you should be remembering, or you're throwing out like, that wet, I need some water, and you use wet or you rain. I mean, it's really extreme in some respects. These can all be, situations where the brain is misfiring. Well, the same goes with a kid in a classroom or an adult in a meeting that's just wandering off into space. They can't stay focused on a task at hand for very long. And that it comes down to, working with inflammation in the brain, inflammation in your blood, and inflammation in your gut. And so if we look at those 3 conversations, inflammation in your brain, inflammation in your gut, which is your second brain, I would might even make the case that there might be your first brain, because there's 3 million, get that, 3 million more neurotransmitters in your GI tract than there is in your brain. And so when everything from your sixth sense, that gut feeling that you get, all the way to just processing intuitions and navigating your day comes from the GI tract, and then the inflammation in your blood all drives your body's internal workings toward what we call the accelerated aging path, or the living to be fully functional in spirit, mind, and body path. Which one do you want?
What does it look like in kids? So kids and adults, you hear it a lot more with children. And then, I even remember going to school with kids, and they had to take medication. And so what do the traits look like in kids versus adults? Is it the same?
Well, I think most of the time it is the same. They're failing tests. They are not seemingly to keep up with the assignments. Then they become disruptive because the kids get frustrated, and then the teacher gets frustrated with them. So then there's a lot of parent, conferences with the kids, parents trying to orchestrate a home routine. Mm-hmm. We had a child come in one time, and they wanted him on ADD medications. And understand the ADD medications that most people are putting their kids on is more or less a pharmaceutical-based cocaine. Okay, so it's not a good substance. It drives dopamine to extreme levels. It burns out neurons long term. It's a short-lived fix. Of course, people, it gets a job done, but oftentimes temporarily, and with side effects, and with long-term side effects that aren't even on the label. And it could be something as simple as what I like to help patients kind of grasp hold of and understand is that, like, if your gene code could express 125, but now because you've been on ADD medications for 40 years, now you only hit 75 or 80, or you hit 90, but it's 75 to 90 is absolutely positively not quality life, not fully functional in spirit, mind, and body. And so you've got to make sure that you recognize the chemicals that they're using to drive the end result that they want, which is a kid that is learning, a kid that is processing, and a kid that is behaving. We have to take it a step further as parents and recognize that it's our job as parents to start seeing there's more toward your kid's behavior, their learning style, and their processing ability than a medication that does not grow on a tree. We have to start putting in better quality food. And when we start seeing these kids, they oftentimes they're just frustrated themselves. Their brain is hyperactive because they started their day with cereals and processed food. We call it the excessive carbohydrate foods. I call it the crap foods. Carbs, refined sugars, additives, and alcohol, and processed food. And I think that when people kind of get these ideas, they start realizing, oh man, my kid starts with cereal every day, or donuts and pastries every day. I mean, that's how I grew up. I mean, I had plenty of sugar as a start to my day, but breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And my parents were instructed to take me off of protein and healthy fats as a child, which is the worst thing you could do
For breakfast
for
or
a
all the
kid.
time?
For all the time, because I had high cholesterol, I was overweight, I was and I had health issues, and that is a really challenging thing to look back on and wonder, what if I could have been 6'2"? What if I could have been taller than my dad or taller than my brother? But I set the sail the wrong way, and whether through ignorance or intention, you can practice the wrong methodology over and over again and get a result that you didn't intend for or would not like to. And people just blame it. Oh, I'm just, my genetics are what they are. No, they're not. So if you've got, learning disabilities in your kids, let's change the game. Let's change the input. Let's change the food supply. Let's change the source of how that body is developing. Because when you look at the child, especially between 0 and 15, I mean, there's so much learning and growing and developing and processing and that's happening at neuronal levels in your brain, at the gut level in your GI tract. And if the body is internalizing inflammation and it's constantly every day putting out fires, just think of your 8 to 5 job. If you get overworked and you get behind on paperwork or you get behind on appointments, it's really hard to get caught back up, and you find yourself anxious, which then puts you not in your cortical brain. So now little Johnny's frustrated, so he's shifting into what we call the mammalian brain, his primal brain, his brain stem, and he's over anxious. He's fight or flight. He's going to fight his way out of the corner, or he's going to be rebellious and or defiant or a challenge or whatever we're going to call it, and then he's going to get labeled. And once he gets labeled, I had this little kid come down the street one time on his bike, and he goes, as happy as he can be, I've been diagnosed with anxiety. And I'm like, brother, you don't got no anxiety. I said, you're blessed and highly favored of the Lord. The Bible says don't be anxious about anything, but by everything, by prayer and petition, present your request to God, and the peace of God will surpass all understanding. Guard your heart, your mind, your soul through Christ Jesus. That one word, that one label that a teacher or a professional labels onto your child could set the sail the wrong direction their entire life.
So the diagnosis part, is that important? Is it important to be, I guess, properly diagnosed so you know how to treat it?
Correct. I mean, look, it's obviously there's misfiring happening. I was just having this conversation last night with my bride, because last night was just one of those weird nights. I was so excited about being on the radio this morning, thinking about what I might say with all of you wonderful people. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 12:30. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 1 o'clock. And during that, and that's not normal for me. Normally, I go right to sleep. I feel great. Life is good. And I wake up in the morning feeling refreshed. Not so much. I think I know what I did wrong. I broke my rule. I had 40 ounces of fluid from about 8:30 to 9:30. Just because we got these new Ultima drinks at the office, and they're watermelon flavored. And Ultima, for those that don't know, it's like a healthy Gatorade. It's a stevia-based drink. Stevia is a 2,000-year-old Peruvian sweetener. It has no negative side effects in your body, no blood sugar impacts. It's just a sweet leaf, and there's no erythritol in it. So there's no alcohol sugars. It's just a clean source of electrolytes and minerals. And I had one the day before Sunday when I got home from Austin, and it tasted so good. I was longing for it all day. And so I was just like inkling. I was like, I need it.
It's like 8:30 at 9. You're like chuggking 40 ounces.
40
Dr.
ounces.
Chapa,
Yeah.
you could have drank like 12 ounces. You could have had like 16. 40 ounces.
You know what they say, moderation. And I broke the rule, man. I mean, I just went off the rails, and that happens. And so we have to look at that. Like, what if today was test day? I mean, it kind of is test day. I'm on the radio talking to people that I don't even know.
Answering questions, random stuff, yeah.
So, hopefully I don't, say anything completely off, the Dr. Chapa process. But, God's good and helps me through it. But what I was getting at is I was talking to her last night, and, like, I have for years and years and years accepted that I am not a good reader. Like, reading is not my thing. And I met a guy, Dr. Tillman, a friend of mine, who's the most avid reader that I personally know. Like, this guy that we met this weekend, Dr. Dan, he's probably like he's probably the most well-read reader, but I don't know him. I don't hang out with him. I haven't sat under his tutelage for years, right? This other mentor friend of mine, Dr. Tillman, I watch this guy every time. It doesn't matter what time of day I can text him. Seriously, I've texted him as early as 4 in the morning to as late as 1 in the evening, and he's reading. He reads. He says, if you don't read often enough, you're going to develop rickets of the mind. Who wants to have rickets of the mind?
What is rickets of the mind?
Rickets of the mind is rickets of the bones, which is brittle bones. You want a brittle brain? Heck no. Mm-mm. So he has really inspired me to press past that label of not thinking I'm good enough to read and just press, push. 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. Never miss those mental vitamins, those words. He always says, I stand at the side of my table and I just play with a bucket of words. And I love that, right? Every day that I get on the radio, I get to play with a bucket of words. And what bucket of words might pour out of my mouth, I hope is inspirational. I hope it's spiritually enlightening. I hope that it points you to onward, upward, goodward, and Godward, that Christ is the light of the world, that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him, John 14:6. And so we everything we do should be, pressing us to be bypassing those labels. So if you legitimately see a change or a deficiency in how your kid is processing information, get frustrated, get angry at it, because that just means you haven't taken full responsibility for it. And as tough as it is to accept that, I think that that's where it starts. That's where you start going, well, what can I do as a parent? Because if all the solution you're getting is, little Johnny needs to go get checked out. Little Johnny needs, to be on medication. Little Johnny is restless, and little Johnny's this, and little Johnny's that. And you start getting all these and you look at little Johnny and you go, he's a boy. I mean, he's wiggly. And what can I change in him, right?
Yeah.
And you could change his morning routine. You could change his bedtime routine, and then see if that makes a difference. Well, back to what I was going to say is that all we did is put him on a multivitamin and tuna omega, Catalin and tuna omega from Standard Process, because he couldn't really chew much, so we had to just do what we could. And the tuna omega is high in essential fatty acid profile of EPA, which is really great brain fat. And that brain fat regulated this kid down to a very calm, cool, collected state. We changed his morning diet, and he went through his day completely different. Instead of ramping him up, we escalated him up on like an escalator, just smooth and steady, right up to where he needs to be. And he went into class, and he was able to just sit there and process information. And people go, you can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can. When you put a firecracker under somebody and you light it and it goes off, they're going to get up pretty quick. But if you say, hey, don't panic, there's a bug under you might want to move, and they go, oh.
Instead of get up,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's like that
Right.
whole, which path are you going to stimulate? Your protective fight or flight response, or your growth and stimulation response of keeping people in the cortical brain. If you label people and you put people and you judge people and you keep pressing them down, so to speak, and don't give new tools other than medications, the best they'll ever have is what they got, which is a brain that's driven off of chemicals and stimulants and rocket fuel and artificial fake food. And if you eat enough make-believe food, the best you'll ever have is what?
Make-believe health.
Make-believe health. Who wants make-believe health? Hopefully nobody.
Right. I got a question. Even if somebody, let's say a young kid gets a diagnosis and they have not the best diet, they keep that not really good diet all the way to it as an adult. Is that something they could eventually grow out of that diagnosis anyways, even if they kept on that? Does that generally happen at times?
No. I think that a lot of times whenever the brain is being trained to be overstimulated and overprocessed, and it's constantly looking for the reward. Like if you look at chocoholic, if you look at alcoholic, if you look at, anything that ends in aholic, a carbaholic. These are all dopamine-driven pathways in the brain, which are your reward centers, and they lead to addiction. And so so if you find yourself not being able to function without whatever fix you need, and we all have fixes. I mean, it could be working out, could be a healthy fix. It could be coffee. It could be, sugar. It could be chocolate. It could be alcohol. It could be, success. I mean, it could be going to a seminar. Like, you have no idea how rewarding going and saturating my brain in geek science.
I have one.
What is it?
I'm a popcornaholic, and I've been out of my fix because like the movies haven't really been open, and if you call them on the phone and just ask, can you turn the popcorn machine on, they just hang up. They start hanging up on you.
Well, so that would be a dopamine rush that you're looking for, and you're like a fiend. You're like, give it to me. I need my popcorn.
I haven't had it in months, but I think the theaters are starting to open again, so it's okay.
We look at what is wrong with our kids today? What is wrong with my own brain today that I can't get through my day? And we start realizing it really does come down to a few things. We look at inflammatory foods, and I mentioned them earlier, the crap foods, the carbohydrates, the refined sugars, the additives, the alcohols, and the processed food. And you don't realize that every time you put like, for example, if you're drinking drinks that have aspartame in there or sucralose in there, we oftentimes see cool little labels that say diet and light and sugar-free is the buzzword. Those increase your chances by 300% dementia, which is a brain disorder of memory loss. Now, it doesn't necessarily happen, when you're a kid, memory loss, or does it? Maybe early on, they call them, because they do call these things excitotoxins, and they drive neurons to a point where little Johnny is now overactive, hyperactive, and his ability to process information and then file it away appropriately is so deranged that when he's not sleeping well at night, his body's not processing what he did learn yesterday. And so because the familiarity of the diet never changes, he's always being stimulated. You can't live on rocket fuel and expect the body to evolve healthily. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Everybody... they're born, they develop, and they decline, and then they die. And so during that growth, develop, and continual growth and decline phase, we call those the pauses of life. And your pause of life, when it hits, is, I think, a lot dictated on the expression of the gene blueprint that your mom and dad gave you. If you've got a gene code that expresses you to make it to 125 fully functional in spirit, mind, and body, that's 6'2", that's healthy and vibrant, and whatever your picture of health looks like, successful and beautiful, and all these other things, healthy skin and healthy hair and healthy sleep, and all those things that you want, but you're not experiencing those. We call those having check engine lights, symptom patterns that you weren't genetically born with. And so when the brain is driving everything, and I don't know if I can find it really quickly, but there's a brain book that I've been reading, two of them, one called Hacking of the American Mind. And he says that the biochemistry always comes first, and he says that behavior is the product. He said, so when you see diabetes in life, that's what the result of a liver, muscle, fat accumulation of sugar. That's the underlying cause, right? When you see poor school performance, we see an inefficient brain mitochondrial production system where the mitochondria in your brain aren't producing healthy levels of ATP, which is cellular energy money. And without healthy cellular energy money, which, by the way, we can improve the cellular energy production factory, your mitochondria, through cell respiration, just taking things like protein in at breakfast time, or water only instead of the sodas that you're sucking down, or ribonucleic acid. We got this great product right here. Check this out. Ribonucleic acid is the transcription factors inside of the blueprint, your DNA, RNA, and it helps to regulate the way the brain creates ATP and the synaptic firing between neurons for healthy communication. So when I say, jump, my ability to jump goes up. And then we've got a product like Bacopa. Bacopa is Schisandra, Bacopa, and Eleuthero, and rosemary. Very good blood flow regulators for brain activity. So when you enhance blood flow in the brain and you're able to get nutrients to their destination faster, you enhance brain activity. And then if you bring in that tuna omega like we spoke about earlier, now you're giving the brain a complete bath of nutrition. You're balancing that escalator of blood sugar through a healthy morning diet, and you're washing your cells with healthy amounts of fluid, water, this clear stuff, not the sweet stuff, not the sugar stuff, not the additives and alcohol stuff, but the clear, water that we want to put in our system, and we're giving our body a lubricant to get through the day, a bath to get through the day, an opportunity to go up at a nice, gentle, 10,000 feet, and then come down for a nice, smooth landing at nighttime. And then it allows you to start recognizing, okay, what are some other habits can we start changing for little Johnny? Well, maybe he needs more minerals. Well, if little Johnny is living, I'm sorry to pick on little Johnny.
Yeah, poor Johnny. I always think about that. It's always Johnny.
It's always Johnny. We could say Sally, but then Sally gets picked on too. And but everybody gets it. So just so that you understand, there's we love little Johnny very much, and I don't know where you are, little Johnny, but we're gonna take care of you.
Johnny's
Living Well
watching
Clinical
somewhere.
Nutrition Center. We got
Not
your
again.
back. That's
yeah,
right.
Johnny's like, come on, really? Okay.
So, but minerals have an absolute imperative game to play in your body. So without this fancy technology, we can't be on the radio, right? But what if I just simply, you have all this great technology, praise God, that we have this stuff to bring information, health and wellness data, positivity every week on the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Show. But I unplugged it this morning. What if I unplugged it? What would happen right now?
We would run for about an hour with our backup batteries.
Oh, cool analogies
Hopefully.
coming. Okay, but what if that backup battery runs dry?
Then we are off.
We are done.
We're going out. We're
All
off.
right.
Yeah.
So minerals are like plugging into a power source. So when you get to that backup battery, you're slipping down the slippery slope to adrenal fatigue. Your body has to go into survival mode, and it only operates on life necessary survival processes. It's going to start shutting down, the exogenous or the unnecessary parts. So like my overall performance in life won't be as good because I need brain function to make sure that the heart is regulating information, that my CPU and my gut neurotransmitters are processing information so I can still find food and recognize food, because if your body doesn't recognize the difference between fake food and real food, that's a problem, right? So there's certain internal workings of our system, ability to detox, our ability to excrete waste through our poop or our pee or our breath or our skin. We call it breathe it out, poop it out, sweat it out, pee it out. So if we can get this stuff out, that's all good. Your body will start shutting down. Well, minerals will keep that process from slipping into a fight or flight survival state. Because if you're in that fight or flight survival state for very long, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, and you don't replete, resaturate, reconcentrate your body with healthy levels of minerals, and I'm talking, it could be just as simple as calcium, magnesium. It could be, right now, there's a lot of research around the magnesium miracle. So we use a product that has over 600 pathways. I didn't bring it today, but it's called Easy Mag. And it is a multiform root-based magnesium. And my goodness gracious, they mislabeled it. They should have called it 600 pathways. We've had it on the show before. I'll bring some next week. But the magnesium miracle, like we are deficient in key minerals that allow our bodies to perform at high levels for muscle physiology, for brain neurology, for cardiovascular health and valvular opening and closing appropriately. And all of a sudden, we wonder why our kids are missing out on school opportunities because their brain's not working. Well, it's because we're feeding them food that has no minerals. There's oftentimes more mineral or vitamin nutrition in the box that your processed food comes with than there is in the actual substrate that you're buying in the box.
Wow.
Think of how scary that is.
I shared this article from KHEA the other day. There's a local fast food chain, and you can go on the KHEA page. I'm not going to say what it is. Local fast food chain. They're going to start 3D printing chicken in another country to test it out. And then there were some people commenting on the article saying, I used to work there. That may be more nutritious than what they're serving right now, if you think about it, because at least, I don't know.
Well,
it's crazy.
Here's the deal. Franken Foods is make-believe food. I mean, at the end of the day, to think that we can be Dr. Frankenstein and, resurrect through, this body part and that body part, a man or a woman, is, definitely a science that should be left to God and God alone. And because, if you go read Psalm 139, he says, he knew you in your mother's womb. He knew you before the thought of time. And so, to think that we are smart enough. I love this. Oh, Lord, you have searched me and known me. Whew. I mean, you just stop right there. You have searched me and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar. You comprehend my path and my lying down, and are acquitted with all my ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. I mean, dude, go read Psalm 139 and pray that over your own life, and ask, Lord, what is the vision you have for me? And, can I fulfill that with the time I've been given on this planet? Well, the Bible says you can. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But it also, there is something that you have to do. It's not just like, pie in the sky and you do nothing. There is a level of application. There's a level of work that you have to be willing to put into this process in order to get the end result that you want. And so what do you want? You got to know. What do you want your life to look like at the end of it? I always say, what do I want my practice to look like after I built it? What do I want my life to look like after I built it? And there's, a great quote from a great friend of mine that she said, no, she probably stole it from somewhere, but, I'll give her credit for it. But it says, if you don't like your circumstances, anything about your circumstances, you have two choices. You can change it or change your attitude toward it. Well, Dr. Chapa, easy. Because I heard the two words in both those things that I didn't like. No, it wasn't even change. It was you. Ooh. And it's the whole three fingers pointing back at you, right? And so if you don't like the diagnosis they've given your kid, if you don't like the diagnosis you have, if you don't like the way you look in the mirror, if you don't like the way you wake up in bed in the morning, I encourage you to change it or change your attitude toward it. Because what happens is if you buy into the lie that it's all in your genes and mom and dad, really messed you over, then you missed out on an opportunity of thriving and surviving and rising above and flying high with the eagles and experiencing a new breath of life and then passing that torch down to your generational line.
Dr. Chapa, I got to bring this up because in the comments, it's going off about the detox, and people are wondering, is it good for kids? Is this can this help clear out what's going on in your brain? When is the next detox, and how can people get involved?
Okay, absolutely. So obviously, we do 42 days of detoxing every year at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center as a group. And so we really wanted to put together something, but we already had something in the docket. We've had to change our monthly patterns quite a bit over the last just several months because of this little COVID virus situation that people are dealing with. And we decided to go ahead and press on and keep our September detox, group detox in place. So the detox is fantastic for kids. We would modify it. We'll allow the kids to keep proteins in. We might have a couple days here and there where we take a protein out, but they do get protein in every shake that they put in. And the detox allows the body to get rid of excess debris, excess waste that their body's been struggling to get rid of. It cleans out their bowels, which then opens up better absorption for new nutrition coming in. It changes their palate, their taste buds, so that they will start recognizing and appreciating different foods. And if you, as parents, will get in line and get on board with this group detox and show them a different way of living, because, again, your kids are just doing what they see modeled in front of them. Kids will always do what they see done, not necessarily do what they're told. And so if you live out a healthy, vibrant, detoxifying life. And I tell patients and tell patients, if you're not detoxing in the 21st century, you are missing a huge piece of your healthcare plan. And I want you to look at it like flossing your teeth. If you, the more teeth you floss, the more teeth you keep. So the better you are at keeping the model, 42 days out of the year of detoxification is a model of restoration and regeneration that allows your body to move away from the protective stress management system, the accelerated aging system, move away from that and move towards regeneration repair. We can start our kids off in a much better playing field for longevity genes to be active longer and lengthen telomeres in their DNA so that they increase the vitality in the longevity. You don't want to just live long and be decrepit. You want to live long and be vibrant. They want to excel in sports. So the group detox is going to be launching. I have that right here. I had to bring my notes because I want to make sure I get these dates right. The detox start day is September 14th, 2020. And the first detox class is going to be in a Zoom call on September 10th. And then our second detox class is going to be September 29th. We're having 2 classes, Zoom-based this go-round. And the classes are going to get us together. And then we'll see kind of where it goes. And we may try to do something fun after, on the flip side of it. It's just a little challenging with the whole, rules and regulations of group meetings that we're trying to dance around with, so we don't draw too much attention to ourselves. But we do offer for anybody interested in detox, detox 20 is if you text detox 20 to 474747, you can get some more information. And we also have a cool little group detox September discount, 20% off your entire order when you purchase a complete kit through September 1st. So just call the office, 281-554-8600, 281-554-8600. You'll get some information if you have specific questions. But the cutoff for that discount is September 1st. And so make sure that you take advantage of it. But that's 20% off your entire order the day that you buy your complete kit. Not a partial kit, but a complete kit.
So you text Detox 2020 to 474747.
No, just Detox 20.
Detox 20. Okay.
Yeah, Detox 20 to 474747 for more information.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to find out some information.
And
it starts on a Monday.
And here's what's cool. When you detox and you pull detox into a conversation of application in your family, you might just find it doesn't matter if you do 21 days in the beginning of the year, like we typically do at our January event, or if you do 21 days in September, like we're doing now. We're hitting our 42 days. So you could have, I had a gal that I was on the phone with in Georgia yesterday, and she and her mom ordered the detox, and they just wanted to do 10 days. Well, they did 10 days last month, and they felt great. Mom's not a patient. Mom's never done the detox, so she didn't. Her daughter didn't want to throw her over the cliff. She didn't want to freak her out, and which I think is smart. Sometimes that slow gradient is back to application here. And, if you scare somebody or put them too far too quick into a process, they're never going back to it. But then if you give them some good education and you get them just their feet wet, what if they did 4 10-day detoxes a year? And we have those built as well. We have inflammatory detoxes. We have blood sugar reset detoxes. We have liver 10-day detoxes that will hit your liver, bowel, and kidney. And so even if you are saying, man, I really want to take advantage of the detox, how do I, get my hands on that? We can build you a 10-day program. And that 10-day program you could do 4 times a year or some version of a 10-day that we do. So make an appointment. Let us help you figure out what's the best detox for you, because we want to know, like, are you on a lot of medications? Does little Johnny take 2 or 3 psychiatric meds along with his ADD meds? And so, like, how are we going to start working with some of these cases? We can coach you through that. That's what we do day in and day out, because we know that these diagnoses are real and these drugs are very real, and they definitely alter brain function and brain chemistry. And we don't want to get into a situation where we're detoxing your family too quickly, because it just creates unnecessary symptoms. Nobody wants to have an unpleasant experience, and you shouldn't. Sometimes people mistake detox as a painful experience. It's a restrictive experience, but it's not a painful one. As a matter of fact, it's very freeing. It's very eye-opening. It's very energetic. It's very enlightening to see, wow, this was not as bad as I thought it was, number one. I feel like I'm doing something to my body. I'm changed. And that simple act of turning that switch, your willingness to change, your willingness to do something, goes back to what we said earlier. If you don't like where you're at, change it or accept it. But it's up to you. And this gives you an option to quickly, easily change things. And it's a very effective way at impacting the next 3 months of your life through 21-day programs.
Dr. Chapa, what happens to someone's brain if they have attention disorders whenever they're detoxing? And what happens to somebody's brain, I guess, if they're not detoxing in general? What's going on in there?
Okay, so your body stores toxins. And by definition, a toxin is nothing more than something your body cannot use. And so, for example, Jennifer sends me a picture of a test this morning on glycophosphates, and we're like, wow, these numbers look high. What are we going to do about this? And basically, glycophosphates are basically they're in a lot of pesticide, they're a lot of herbicide. They're all around us. If you eat anything that's genetically engineered, you're getting into these types of foods, and they drive massive amount of brain inflammation and gut inflammation that leads to blood inflammation. Those 3 things we talked about on the front that really drive a lot of these processes. And so what happens in a child or an adult, teenager, hormonal or not, in a infertile or fertile, or perimenopausal or menopausal, or midlife crisis, menopause or not, or the elderly aging cycle, is how much bioaccumulated waste, toxic crud have you accumulated over your lifetime? Some people have a genetic code that doesn't allow their body to detox well, okay? That we can see that through gene expression on all these gene tests that people have, MTFHR studies, for example. We can see that when people have need for specific methylated B vitamins. Again, things that we look for, test for, work with at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. And your body will store toxins, whether something is extreme but common as glycophosphates to the artificial sugars in your soda pops that are diet and zero and sugar-free. These chemicals bind up receptors in your brain. So think of having a lock on your house, and I stick a key in it. Now, the key goes in the lock, but it doesn't unlock the lock. Now the receptor's blocked. I have the right key in my hand. On my other hand, I can't put it in the keyhole because the key that's in there won't get out. That is what a lot of these toxins do. They fit good enough in the receptor that allows memory to happen, or allows processing speed to happen, or allows longevity genes to happen, or vitality genes to be expressed. And so what a detox does is it allows the chemical factories in the cell, because your cells at the cellular level eat just like you chew up food and eat. Your cells at the cellular level process the nutrients at a micro nano level, just like you take a food, a cucumber or a hot dog or whatever, and eat it as one form and it comes out a different form. Your cells at a cellular level excrete waste just like you excrete waste through your sweat glands or your urine or your stool. And so the process is just at a nano, level smaller, and because there's trillions and trillions of cells in your body. Well, if the toxin is binding up that cell receptor site, the communication on how to deal with its environment is altered. So now I never cut my grass anymore. I never take my trash out anymore. I don't feed the dog anymore. Don't take care of the house anymore. And the house starts falling apart. And we got termites, and we got missing bricks, and man, we got multiple cars that are in the driveway that just don't run. And it looks like what?
Not good.
Not good. And then you get the homeowners involved, and they get all upset and bent out of shape. And then the neighbors are like, crying out, why isn't so-and-so taking care of their house?
Mm-hmm.
Making the value of our neighborhood go down. Whatever, the complaint is. Well, think about that in your body. That's what having an excessive amount of toxicity in your system does. So your body stores toxins in the brain. That is not good, but that's what happens. It stores toxins in your joints. That was why your body hurts. I call that they call it arthritis. I call it
arthrongus.
Arthrongus, because there's nothing rightus about it, Gardy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it stores it in fat cells. And these are why people have such a hard time in this culture losing weight. They get the expanding waistlines. They see the diabetes, the cardiovascular disease, the stroke impacts, and, of course, the neural degeneration, the brain decline. And so toxicity affects us at the blood level. It affects us at the gut level. It affects us at the brain level. And without detoxing in the 21st century, you've got to get this definition in your head. We've got to get these toxins out. Your body should be able to get rid of these toxins. It should, on its own, without a detox. Except that when you put so much garbage in, unfortunately, the garbage doesn't come out. It gets stuck. And nobody wants to be filled full of garbage because you start to stink. Ooh. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you say, sure do, tennis shoe.
Sure do, tennis shoe. Yep.
So remember, the detox is an opportunity, and we will modify it for your kids. We'll modify it for you to help you get off of the crap foods, the carbs, the refined foods, the additives, the alcohol, and the processed food. And we're going to start repleting your body with minerals. We're going to start balancing your blood sugar. We're going to start getting more greens into your diet, even if it's through a powder. We have powdered version, pill versions of cruciferous vegetables like broccolis and kales and spinaches and carrots and things that you aren't eating. The average American is consuming 3 vegetables a week, Gardy. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
And of those 3 vegetables a week, it should have 65 minerals minimum in the soil. But guess how many's in the soil for most vegetables that people are consuming 3 times a week? 5 or less. How do we expect to be healthy if we're getting a fraction of the nutritional density that we're supposed to get when we do consume a vegetable, if we consume a vegetable? Does that make sense? It's the empty harvest. Bernard Jensen and Mark Anderson, God bless them, because they got it. 40 pages in is all you need. You can get the whole premise in 40 pages. It's like a 300-page book. But the reality is if you balance your blood sugar, if you get the kids, we have this product at our office called Greens 8000, a red version, a mint version, a chocolate version, a berry version, a strawberry kiwi version, a mocha version. We have all kinds of different versions that's equivalent to 21 servings of phytonutrients and phytochemicals from fruits and vegetables. And if that's where we got to start, that's where we got to start. That's okay. That's where I started. I remember the first time I got exposed to this stuff, I would drink 4 of them a day. I was so good. I was like,
right before bedtime, 8:30 to 9:30.
Yeah. No. I just remember specifically, I was in Austin at a seminar, and I remember just like guzzling this stuff, and I'm like, I feel so amazing every time I drink this stuff, And it's because I was so depleted, and my body recognized nutrients for the first time because the inflammation in my gut had gone down because I changed things about my diet that I wasn't putting in inflammatory, fiery foods that was ramping up anxiety in my digestive tract, which was ramping up anxiety in my cellular activity in my blood, that was ramping up cellular anxiety in my brain and my synaptic activity where my brain was misfiring. Now my brain could actually recognize food for the first time. Mm-hmm. That's the game. We just got to push rewind. Instead of firing up the system in a negative way. We've got to fire up the system in an appropriate way to maximize hormesis, because anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Well, abundance, I could probably say that I don't need 4 Greens 8000 drinks a day anymore, but there was a time I really think that my body needed it. And I think that's where it comes down to when I tell patients, if you stick with living well long enough and you follow through with the recommendations that we make for you 70, 80% of the time, you're going to get better. Everybody does. And I'm confident to say that because it's like nutritional laws. If I drop my phone, it's going to fall at 9.8 meters per second squared every time. The nutritional laws of eating well, sleeping well, stressing well, remineralizing well, getting those nutritional programs in and recognizing that you are in control of what you put in and starting to learn to observe how your body is processing that for which you put in determines your longevity expression and the vitality of that longevity. And to me, brother, that's great news because that puts the ball in your court. That puts the steering wheel in your hand, and that gives you the hope, the encouragement to just keep on keeping on. Because if you quit nutrition, what are you quitting to, Gardy?
Just kind of giving up, I guess, or just...
Which means you're giving up to disease.
Mm-hmm.
You're accepting what is. And then you're going to find yourself, really frankly, blaming and complaining. You're going to find yourself bitter. You're going to find yourself the blue crab in your friend circle where anybody that's, promoting them, getting to a point where they're starting to evolve and wake up to stuff, you're going to be, negative Nelly, Poor little Johnny, Sally, and negative Nelly. I mean, God bless y'all all if you're listening today. But remember, we're coming to a close. It's your life, it's your health, it's your choice. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center loves you and cares about you very much. We want to be your health and wellness resource. We believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows your body to spiral off out of control or to get traction and start moving forward. And we honestly believe that no matter where you're at in the health and healing cycle, the disease state, the diagnosed state, we can help you move forward faster with a good, strong nutrition, mineral-based, vitamin-based, essential fatty acid plan. We can help you find those inflammatory junk foods, crap foods that are causing destruction at the cell matrices. We can help you get rid of the inflammation in your gut, your blood, and your brain. We can help you incorporate detoxification into your 21st century healthcare plan. We believe that your body wants to heal, will heal, and it's not that you have to forever give up everything in life. We want to find something that works for you and keep you moving forward toward it. And what do you want your life to look like after you've done built it? Remember, we've got a great offer this month, 20% off your entire order when you purchase a complete kit through September 1st. Make sure that you grab that date. If it's after September 1st, it is no-go. And text DETOX20 474747 for more information on the detox. We look forward to launching the detox. It's going to be fantastic for our second run of the year, 2020. It's going to be a great one. And the first class is going to be on September 10th. The start date is September 14th. And the second class is going to be on September 29th. And these are going to be Zoom-based calls.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now, it's just after 10 o'clock. You can text DETOX20 to 474747. Find out more information. All right, Facebook, y'all have a good day. Be blessed. Share this out. Thank you, Dr. Chapa.